In at 10, Five Nights at Candy's. Five Nights at Candy's is the first in a series of 5 Candy's games that includes 4 main titles and the remastered first game after Freddy Fazbear's closed for good. It's clear the stage was set, no pun intended, for another contender in children's entertainment, so Candy's decided to take their shot. What could go wrong? The gameplay is similar to that of FNAF, however you have the added ability of having night vision in the cameras, and they added a 3rd floor in the form of the office window, which adds more complexity and difficulty to the gameplay. The first game includes 13 characters, including the beloved phone guy, obviously a different phone guy, but we all love the phone guy, and the title character of Candy with her merry band of animatronic killers. Cindy, Blank, Chester the Penguin, damn it Batman, I thought you had dealt with him, Old Candy, the Rat, Vinny, Shadow Candy, Origami Cat, and the Easter egg Markiplier animatronic. Who do you think the king of FNAF is? Let me know below, and if it's not me, don't comment. 400 FNAF videos, okay? I think I deserve it.
No one's going to agree.
Not even my friends call me the FNAF king. In at 9, Sinister Turmoil Sewers. Sinister Turmoil was planned to be a full game set to release sometime a few years ago. However, the full game never came to fruition. Mangle was planned to be the main antagonist of that game, where they were using the name of Prototype Foxy. However, while the whole game wasn't released, we managed to get Sinister Turmoil Sewers instead, which was a snippet of what the full game was intended to be. In the game, you are trying to escape a Freddy Fazbear themed amusement park, when your friend says that to escape you need to head through the sewers. However, when you enter, you realize that Mangle was set loose down there, making me believe that this friend had set you up. Like maybe he was supposed to be William Afton in the main game. The game from then on is very reminiscent of the Corn Maze minigame from the Curse of Dreadbear DLC for Help Wanted. I've played through that minigame multiple times, and the 2 games are very similar. In Sinister Turmoil, which did come out first, there is a cupcake that follows you, and if you don't pay attention to it long enough, it decides that it's going to scream like a child and will alert Mangle to your location. And in Corn Maze, there are crows that stand on the ground in random places, and if you step on any of them, they let out a loud cry and fly away, which is by far the worst part of that minigame, but they also alert Foxy to your location. The main antagonist of both games is also a version of Foxy, Mangle in Sinister Turmoil and Grim Foxy in Corn Maze, which makes me think that someone got their ideas from elsewhere there, Scotty. And at 8, One Night at Flumpty's. The Game Jolt description for this game is, quote, "This game is an inside joke. There's no backstory, no meaningful undertones, nothing to theorize about, it's just for fun, so have fun." And after dealing with this series for 7 years, we know that there is always more to the story. This wonderful fan game includes characters such as Flumpty Bumpty, Birthday Boy Blam, the Red Man, Eyesore, Grunkfuss the Clown, who is a real eyesore, the Beaver, Golden Flumpty, and the Owl. The gameplay similarly to FNAF with relatively similar mechanics, however there is also a hole in the wall where Grunkfuss appears, and the game is all hand-drawn, which while making things slightly less terrifying, it makes it kind of personal and can give you like a more of a personal feel to the game, which can be good if you're looking for that kind of connection with the game. And if you do want to theorize, there is bound to be something to theorize about for it. I don't know, we need to get like a whole crew together and try to connect all the FNAF games and like all the FNAF fan games into the lore somehow, like, because like the Fanverse initiative is coming, and this is a part of the Fanverse, right? Isn't it? So, or is that just Pop Goes? I don't know if Flumpty's is getting one. And at 7, Five Nights at Wario's Debauchery Simulator. Made by Tonkoi on Game Jolt, the description for Five Nights at Wario's Debauchery Simulator reads, quote, "Wario wants to find the murderer who killed them so they can go on a adventure that is full of MLG." And that's it. The credits are to WWW Wario for creating Five Nights at Wario's and Scott Cawthon for making FNAF. This is just a sin, not even if you play it, but like if you just so much as look at the Game Jolt page, you're going to hell. This just screams shit show, and to be frank, I don't really want to have to deal with it. This is almost certainly a riff on another fan game, which subsequently was inspired by Five Nights at Boys, so I don't know what to do anymore. Like, is this a fan game, or is it a fan game of a fan game of a fan game, or is it just like a fan game of a fan game? I don't know, my brain hurts. And at 6, Golden Freddy's Debauchery Simulator. The description for this game starts off with a warning right away. Quote, "This is just a fan game for Five Nights at F-Boys and not a game by the original creators. I am not trying to take credit for making the original games, and I am just a fan of the original FNAFB games, who had too much time on their hands. This is a Five Nights at Boys fan game where you play as the best character, Golden Freddy, during the 5 days prior to the first FNAF Night of Debauchery, as he has not just a night of debauchery, but a complete week of debauchery. But some F-Lord keeps shitting on everything he loves, progressively making stuff and contrived reasons for the first game's events ensue. And just like Five Nights at F-Boys, this has a list of unnecessary details. Unnecessary difficulty. Seriously, this game will kick your teeth in if you aren't prepared. Party hats everywhere. Terrible fan-made dialogue. Golden Freddy. Brutal romantic pirate conquest. Whatever that means. And finally, Wyvern adult battery operated fake extremities that I cannot talk about on YouTube. Yeah, it's one of those games. Halfway through into number 5, Five Nights at Chucky's. In a few days, the old animatronics are going to be replaced, although that means someone's going to have to watch over the restaurant during the transitionary period. And management has given you a new temporary position as a night watchman. You've been provided with security cameras to ensure your and the animatronic safety, along with a personal phone guide. It should be a simple job, right? This is an official, complete reboot of the popular 2015 FNAF fan game Five Nights at Chuck E. Cheese's, featuring new mechanics, graphics, and more, while still keeping the spirit of the original game. A god FNAF fan game about f***ing Chuck E. Cheese. What the absolute living hell, people? Why? Like, I understand that Freddy's is a riff on Chucky's, okay, but we don't need this. This is the one thing that I thought was going to be safe from the FNAF world due to fear of copyright strikes or trademark law violations, but no, they just went for it. And it's a shame, because I don't want to suffer for the mistakes of lesser men, but I guess that I have to. And now, you do too. When my kid asks me to go to Chuck E. Cheese and I say no, they're gonna get all mad, but they're not gonna understand why. This is why. And for Purple Guy Simulator. Purple Guy Simulator isn't exactly the most sinful game. It's something that I was actually asking for, honestly, but I personally wanted it in VR. But straight up, I love the fact that there is actually a Purple Guy Simulator. Going around to Freddy's Pizzeria, killing kids, and then shoving their bodies into animatronic suits until you get caught by the cops is certainly something that I find blissful. It's relaxing, running around trying to find a kid who's alone so that you can shove a knife in their chest and then try to hide their body before anyone, like another kid or like another parent, finds it. Oh man. My biggest question is, why do parents keep bringing their kids to these restaurants if children end up going missing there? And a lot of children when I play. Like, who thought that the continued attendance to Freddy Fazbear's was a good idea? Hell, if someone sneezed in the wrong way, my father would like tell us not to go there for like 5 years after that. Like, Barney was banned in my household for whatever reason. Getting close to the end in number 3, Bonnie Simulator 2. Have you ever wanted to kill kids?
Why not?
Okay, now, how about in video games? Yeah, we're friends now. Well, how about killing a security guard while you travel instantaneously from camera to camera while he tries to survive? Well, if the latter sounded good to you, you probably wanted to play as an animatronic. In the series of animatronic simulator games, you can play as one specific animatronic. In Bonnie Simulator 2, you can play as Chica. I'm kidding. No, you play as either Toy Bonnie or Withered Bonnie, where you travel from camera to camera trying to attack the guard, obviously. However, they made this game much more difficult, so the guard is pretty smart at like for a decent amount of the game. I feel like they should have difficulties where you can like select YouTubers, you know, like a Markiplier difficulty or a Dawko or MapPad difficulty. I don't know, I think that would be fun. But I don't think it's in production anymore. But if someone wants to do it, I feel like you can, okay? That idea is free, but the whole concept of a Bonnie Simulator, that's not free. You're gonna have to talk to the guy who made it. Penultimately, into number 2, Pop Goes. A story based on the first 3 FNAF games, Pop Goes, like many others, is a competitor and successor to The Way of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. A year after the fire at Fazbear's Fright, a rich and creative inventor in England, only known as Fritz, has taken on the role of continuing the animatronic pizzeria brand with his own restaurant called the Pop Goes Pizzeria. They had extremely advanced robotics, but nothing like possessed animatronics that had dead kids stuffed inside them to create soul-infused metal, so that's good. This pizzeria was far ahead of its time. 3D printers in every room, touchscreen devices for the kids. It was a Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, but better and without the child murder. So, that's good. But Fritz never built the place for customers, he built it for himself. And as a night guard, you are a part of the scheme. So let's get started and help Fritz out. Some observant viewers may have noticed that the name Fritz is kind of familiar, and it is. It's the name that Michael used as one of the night guards in FNAF 1, and it's the name of the child who was stuffed into Foxy, as we know from the gravestone ending at least. Well, I mean, okay, it's pretty well established at this point, but what could this man be doing? Is his real name actually Fritz? Do we know who he is? Is he related to us? Play the game to find out. And finally, in at number 1, A Shadow Over Freddy's. A tableau FNAF game with the ability to explore the entire pizzeria. You have different objectives instead of typical gameplay, and the whole exploration thing has got to be inspired by the Game Lab episode of FNAF. I feel like that's kind of where everyone was getting this idea. The way you can complete these nights is by completing your objective, not surviving until 6 AM. However, you do actually have to complete it before 6 AM. You have no power to hinder you, but you also have no time to save. Plus, the game is entirely in black and white, which makes it even more intense. And the fact that you can't see colors of the animatronics makes them harder to spot, and it will keep you on edge, questioning every single thing you see on screen. Was that something, or was it just the light? Was that me making the sound, or was it something else? Where the hell is the fan? Nobody knows. The scariest part of this is that you're not done until you complete your objective, okay? No biding your time, no cowering in fear, no hiding. You need to move. And you know what? That's horrifying. I'm a little bitch. I like to hide, okay? We all know this.
Number 10, Super FNAF 2, Wonderful Day. This game honestly looks like just a lot of fun. It's been in development since 2017 and is a platformer with lots of dark, hidden secrets for you to uncover. The trailer spins it as a game created kinda by Fazbear Entertainment to promote their franchises, who teamed up with obviously the company LSF Development to actually make the game. LSF Development is the actual creator of the game on GameJolt. There is no expected release date, but the creators are hoping to have it ready soon. At least that's what their page says. I love that it appears as a legit 80s or 90s inspired platformer, but that there are also some dark secrets via perhaps glitches that will likely come up in regards to the true stories behind the restaurants and the animatronics. I also just love that it takes its name from Circus Baby's speech about her wonderful day. I see what you did there, and I like it. Number 9, Five Nights at McDonald's. This was one of, if not the FNAF game to enter development first. This was one of the first, if not the first FNAF fan game to enter development. We're not really sure how far along this game is, but we know it's been in the works for apparently 7 years. The graphics make it look like something that could be released for like Nintendo 64. But hey, Nintendo 64 is well loved by many of us, so that might not end up being a bad thing if it ever actually does get finished. All we have to look at is some very blocky designs for characters and locations. Oh, and a live trailer that is admittedly pretty creepy, but also is live action. So it's more about giving us the feel for this game than any actual idea of what the game would be like to play. Five Nights at McDonald's is being created by Vortex Softworks, and you can follow along on the journey on GameJolt. This is also just a cool one to be aware of and to follow, since it was, you know, apparently like the first one. It's like a bit of FNAF history. FNAF fan-made history. And friends, before we move on to this next spot, if you are loving this list and you want more lists like it, be sure to show us by giving this video a thumbs up. I love talking about all the cool fan-made stuff because the community is just so cool and creative, and I love it. So yeah, if you want more fan-made content, let us know. We can celebrate it. Number 8, Fredbear's The Origin / FNAF. Fredbear's is a game that was meant to establish the lore as reimagined by fans of the first Freddy's location, Fredbear's Diner. It's implied based on teaser trailers and the description that you, in fact, may play as the killer in the series, but that at least for a time you're kind of unaware as to if you're responsible for any deaths or if something else might be going on. All in all, it sounds very creepy and mysterious and a little confusing for this story, which I am into. I mean, if I didn't want confusing, would I even be talking about FNAF right now? However, this game seems to have been in development since 2015 and doesn't offer too much in terms of giving us glimpses into what could be upcoming gameplay. Fredbear's is being developed by Copal Images, if it's still being developed. Our last little bit of intel was an opening scene still, which was shared 1 year ago on the GameJolt page for this game.
And at 7, The Joy of Creation. The Joy of Creation is sure one hell of a clever name. The Joy of Creation, or T-Jock, has a unique viewpoint because you play as the one and only Danny DeVito. Sorry, I'm kidding. I mean Scott Cawthon. Autocorrect. Created by Nixon, the story is set after Scott has ended the FNAF series. After he does, however, the animatronics go absolutely berserk, break out of the games, and come to take from him what he took from them, their lives. And considering how this is what Glitchtrap is trying to do currently, that's kind of terrifying. After the production of another game was cancelled, the game transitioned into the joy of creation reborn. The game has several modes, including the original survivor mode and the more recent story mode. The game features ignited versions of the original animatronics, and they look straight up terrifying. It also includes a Halloween version which has an ignited spring trap, which is absolutely the worst thing ever. This is one of the scariest games on the list, and the story mode is the most terrifying game mode out of the ones that you can play. Like, even looking at the trailer gives me the heebie-jeebies, but we all know I'm a little And at 6, Dormitibus. Faced with dangerous robotic abominations, the player has to survive 10 nights of horror and panic, while all you have to defend yourself is a rusty old desktop and your own reflexes. You are challenged by a whole host of robotic monstrosities, but the thing is, they used to be your friends. Who are you, where are you, and what the hell is going on? You'll just have to figure that out for yourself. The reason I found out about this game is thanks to a Reddit thread where someone said that the game had an incredibly messed up story. And I mean, like, they didn't use those terms, they used more vulgar ones. They said it was incredibly story. But the story of this game should be discovered by you, so I don't really want to spoil it. But the game ties itself into the lore of the series up until Sister Location and the Silver Eyes and FNAF 4, since this game was released before those were announced. But I mean, like, they should have expected this, in all honesty. Like, Scott releases something new every 3 months, or at least he was at that point, so I don't know. You should have guessed it. Halfway through into number 5, Final Nights 3, Nightmares Awoken. Final Nights is absolutely terrifying, okay? If you haven't seen the top 10 scariest FNAF animatronics video yet, go watch that, because I talk about the Reaper puppet, which is like the first time I've ever talked about a fan animatronic on this channel, and it's haunted me ever since. In that video, I said that the Reaper puppet looks like a weird version of Jeff the Killer, and I'm not wrong. The whole series is populated by messed up versions of the original animatronics, like Withered Toy animatronics and the Reaper animatronics appearing in the third game along with the Reaper puppet. And Reaper Balloon Boy looks like something I've actually seen in my nightmares before I ever heard of the series. The third minigame in the series, which is the one I'm most familiar with, has you literally staying in a hospital room while animatronics attack you, which is incredibly rude. Like, come on, man. I'm recovering. I'm paying hospital bills for this, but you're still going to invade my personal space like that? While yes, in that game you need to survive until the morning, you actually need to sleep to make any progress, leaving you extremely vulnerable. It's an incredible game mechanic with terrifying animatronics and an interesting way that the original series could have gone, but I'm really glad that they didn't, because this is actually just terrifying.
Number 1, Porkchop's Horror Show. This game is a FNAF-inspired fan game with a very different premise from what I'm used to with these fan-made games. In Porkchop's Horror Show, you play as a contestant looking to earn money and fame as you attempt to escape a maze-like what appears to be asylum filled with death traps, while Porkchop attempts to hunt you down and kill you after tormenting you first. It's apparently not going to be an easy kill. That's what the description promises. Porkchop's Horror Show was, I believe, cancelled, but is currently uncancelled and maybe still in development. It is being created by Fiznom on GameJolt and has been in development since 2018. So hopefully it's uncancelled and we'll see it soon. 2018? It's been a while. Number 9, Five Nights at Flumpty's 2. I think one of the best things about Five Nights at Flumpty's overall is that it doesn't take itself too seriously. But the other thing that is really amazing about it is it's actually scary as well. It's like a parody game that will make you chuckle but will also haunt your nightmares at the same time. While the original game was more in the vein of Five Nights at Freddy's in terms of its formula, Flumpty's 2 pushes the envelope even more, resulting in a more weird and horrifying experience for players in comparison to that first game. Just look at the room you start in after all. Like, what is even happening here? I'm not exactly sure about everything that's going on, but I definitely know it's not good. I also just think the mechanics in the game really add to the level of paranoia you feel while playing. Like the laptop restart, which you have to go through every time you fully exhaust your laptop battery while looking at the security monitors. So don't do that. Don't let your laptop die. Also, it's not good for your laptop. Real facts though. And friends, before we move on to this next spot, if you are loving this list and you want to learn about more scary FNAF fan games, you know that there are so many. There are so many we could talk about, so be sure to let us know that you love it by giving this video a thumbs up. Number 7, Five Nights at Freddy's Laughter and Joy. And we'll laugh and laugh and laugh. This game looks like it has a promising premise from the description, but it will likely never see the light of day or the darkness of night, as it's been in development since 2014. There also isn't much content on its Game Jolt page to suggest that it is anywhere close to being ready, or that it has even been continually worked on since it was announced. What we do have is a plot that involves worldwide locations of Freddy's being opened up as the company goes international in an attempt to basically drum up more business. I mean, that feels like a risky move if you were struggling to do well already. Also, where would you then get all that money to open all those locations internationally? But still, it's a cool idea if you can suspend your disbelief when it comes to the actual business side of that. I mean, maybe they were just like, hey, you can open a Freddy's in your place, just like you have to invest all the money. And then I guess it's a good idea. Either way, it's still a cool idea if you can kind of suspend your disbelief when it comes to perhaps the actual business side of that. The other interesting info we are given is an idea of the animatronic roster, including a new animatronic named Jammy Jr., who I really want it to be a cannibalistic Jammy Dodger animatronic. I know that's asking a lot, and I know that we'll probably never get this game, but if that could be a thing, I would love it. Number 6, Animator's Hell. This one has a few demos available, but that's it if you're looking to play. It's by Gestalt Games and can be found on Game Jolt if you're looking to check out what is available at this point. The good news is the second demo came out only a few weeks ago. The bad news is that the previous demo came out a year ago, so progress is evidently slow going, and it might mean you have to wait a while before you'll see another demo or even a semi-finished full game when it comes to Animator's Hell. Animator's Hell was tested out on Game Theory Live though, so if you are a fan of MatPat, who had nothing but good things to say it seems, you might want to hit follow on Game Jolt for this one, and stay tuned for when this game is fully released. Either way, you've got a couple of playable demos that you can do, and that's more than a lot of games have, so you should check that out. Seems like the demos are pretty fun. I haven't played this one, but it looks pretty fun. Number 5, Pyro Illusion. I guess a lot of these titles choose to be in all caps to, I don't know, attract your eye. I'm not really sure what's up with that, but there are a lot of FNAF titles that are like all in caps. But before Pyro Illusion was Pyro Illusion, in all caps, it was Five Nights at Roxy's. This game has over 20,000 followers, but still doesn't have much beyond preview images and trailers. Of course, all the imagery and glimpses into the world and character design thus far look so good that everyone obviously cannot wait for this game to be released, if it ever does get released. When it gets released? D. Demku has been working on the game for 4 years on Game Jolt, it should be noted, so hopefully they're getting close soon because, you know, fans have been waiting for a while. Give us the game, we want to play! But also respect to people making games because it's really hard work. So also take your time. Give it to us, but take your time. But give it to us, you know? Number 3, The Joy of Creation. The Joy of Creation is the game that started it all for this franchise. It was inspired by Boogeyman and FNAF 4. Here you play as Scott Cawthon himself, fending off animatronics who seem to be attempting to scare and threaten you, to encourage you, I guess, to make even more animatronics or even more games. The Joy of Creation has some very disturbing designs when it comes to the animatronics, and although the game is simple, it's very well put together. The character of Scott in this game also seems to be a bit like William in the sense that he also apparently has animatronics and is warned at the beginning of the game that if he doesn't replace the mainframes on his animatronics, they're going to be like a danger to those that they perform for. So he seems to also be a builder of animatronics. This game, I believe, was only ever developed as a demo before it was abandoned, but if you love it and you find it as terrifying as I do, you can check out the finished and remastered version, The Joy of Creation Reborn. Number 2, Five Nights at Treasure Island. Five Nights at Treasure Island was possibly one of the first fan games ever made based off of the FNAF franchise, and I gotta say, it's a pretty good one. It still holds up to this day. This one blended together the mechanics of FNAF with the oh so cursed world of Disney. At least we all like to imagine the world of Disney is cursed. I don't know how cursed it is in real life. In Five Nights at Treasure Island, you face off against animatronics at Old Treasure Island, which are Disney icons including Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, and Goofy, or really messed up versions of them. Another interesting and disturbing part of Treasure Island is that the animatronics animatronics, or toons in this case, are all super twisted in some way. Honestly, in retrospect, this game reminds me now of a combination of Bendy and the Ink Machine mixed with FNAF. Number 1. The Joy of Creation Story Mode. I feel like the Joy of Creation is elements of FNAF 4, but if it was, like, maybe even scarier. This fan game is meant to be a follow-up that goes through what happens after Five Nights at Freddy's 1. Now, of course, this is a fan game, so none of this is really considered canon, but it does a great job of encapsulating the feel of the FNAF universe and the lore, which is why a lot of fans will sometimes even consider it as part of the world when reflecting on certain characters and certain stories. It just fits so well. What makes it scary? The sound design, the whole atmosphere, the creepy story, the animatronics. I mean, it's really got the whole package, which is why it's number 1. Number 10. The Withered. What if you could play a version of the FNAF games where all the animatronics were severely withered? Would you dare? This is a fan-made game that a few developers have been working on to make happen, and it's definitely one that I would love to play. I personally think the Withered and Nightmare animatronics are some of the most scary versions that we have in-game, so to see a whole series where everything is withered sounds pretty terrifying to me. If you love getting jump scared to the point that you can't sleep at night, this is probably a fan-made game that you also need in your life. Also, what if the Withereds were more active in-game? That would also be a cool idea, no? Number 9. LEGO Five Nights at Freddy's 1. This is a game that is currently being developed on Game Jolt. I just love the premise and design of the characters. The idea? It's a one-for-one copy of the original game, but with LEGO versions of all the animatronics. So if you love LEGO and you love FNAF, this one's for you. I especially love in the trailer how Bonnie just takes off their head to reveal the endo underneath, like it's a mask. Because I mean, you can do that with LEGOs. So neat. LEGO Five Nights at Freddy's is actually a mod for the original, I believe, or it's intended to be, which is how it works to be an exact one-for-one. So the only thing you need to do is actually own the original to play this version. And then of course wait for the mod, and then download the mod, and then put it in. So a few more things. And friends, before we move on to this next point, if you are loving this list and you want to learn more about awesome fan-made games that we are expecting or that we'd love to see, be sure to let us know by giving this video a thumbs up. Number 8. FNAF Origins. Something that has always fascinated me when it comes to the FNAF franchise is the figure of William Afton. He's so mysterious and there is still so much we don't know about him. Why does he kill? What motivates him? When and how did that all start? To uncover this, I would love to have a game that dives deep into William's backstory, his origins, and the lore surrounding him. It doesn't have to be so on the nose, but just a game that even hinted at the motivations for this character would be cool. It could also be something more abstract, where we don't play explicitly as William, but simply a character that represents him. Though really, if I gotta pick, I would prefer something a touch more literal, as we already have lots of illusions in the franchise left to unpack and decode already. Number 6. Those Nights at Rachel's. Is this game just a better FNAF game? In my opinion, sort of. In this game, you are a security guard at Rachel's where you must try to survive through the entire night shift and prevent the animatronics from attacking you. The game was made in Unreal Engine by the popular and accomplished FNAF fan game designer extraordinaire Nick Som, who also designed another horrifying FNAF fan game you may have heard of, The Joy of Creation, and others within that series. So yeah, that's the level we're at with this. Some of the animatronics featured in Those Nights at Rachel's I actually find more horrifying to gaze upon in comparison to the core animatronics from Five Nights at Freddy's. The other thing I love about this game in terms of the horror elements when it comes to the game's story is that it actually takes place in the same world as FNAF, at least in the story it's mentioned. Freddy's is mentioned as being a problematic restaurant down the street whose controversies and scandals are actually negatively impacting Doug's and Rachel's business as well. Good old Doug's and Rachel's. Number 5. Five Nights at Candy's 4. Because in the world of FNAF fan games, some of these games have become so popular, they've even created their own series of games. There is just a very real demand for really good FNAF fan games. And Five Nights at Candy's was one of the breakouts when it came to being considered one of the best. Despite the fact that I ranked the first game in the series a little bit lower on this list, it's only because each game has really only improved on the creep factor here. FNAF 4 is not released yet, but appears just from the stills and the teasers on its Game Jolt page to be one of the most terrifying in that series yet. Five Nights at Candy's has also been welcomed into the FNAF Extended Universe by Scott Cawthon himself, joining the Fazbear Fanverse initiative. Number 4. Final Nights 3. Nightmares Awaken. I think this one deserves to be be so high up just for like the game's location. It takes place at a hospital and you must try to survive and somehow sleep while also dealing with Reaper animatronics, which is about as scary as you can imagine. Also, hospitals in general are just scary. In fact, it actually might not even be scarier than you're imagining if you haven't played this game before, so you need to go play it. Something as well about the idea of sleeping while all this madness is going on just breaks my brain in a way. Like, I don't want to sleep if there are things hiding in my closet. I don't want to do that. How am I supposed to sleep knowing that these Reapers are out there wanting to probably tear me apart? And every time I wake up, I'm probably gonna get die. That's what's about to happen. I'm like, I can't sleep. Number 3, LEGO Five Nights at Freddy's 3. I love that LEGO FNAF 3 is also point number 3. Of course, I am also excited for the third installment of LEGO FNAF, this one possibly even more so than the other two because of just how frightening LEGO Springtrap is. Something about how much faster he seems to move in this trailer and just how toned down yet still somehow spooky he remains. LEGO FNAF 3 takes us into Fazbear Fright, the horror attraction, but LEGOifies the whole thing. We've gotten a trailer so far where, just like in LEGO FNAF 2, everything seems to be LEGOified. So it's not just Springtrap, but actually the whole location down to every single detail, including the drawings, pictures, and posters on the wall. I love that attention to detail in those games. Number 2, The Incident. What do we really want? What do we really want? We want a game that helps to shed some light on an evening that has haunted us for many years. Or perhaps not just one evening, but a period of time. Although it is alluded to as being a single evening as well. That is the night when the 5 victims of William Afton went missing. I would love a game where you are perhaps playing as one of those 5. Perhaps you even get to choose who you want to play as, and each character's story is slightly different when it comes to gameplay. You know how the night ends, you know you're doomed, but you get to participate and witness as the horrible story of that night unfolds. I also just love playing through horror games where I kinda know I'm doomed. Number 1, real LEGO FNAF. Well, we have 3 games that are currently in the works in regards to LEGO mods or versions of FNAF. The only thing is that these aren't original and sanctioned LEGO versions of the FNAF games. Important to be clear there. So fans of the LEGO games in general, which follow their own formula, might be disappointed in those previously mentioned ones. Fans of that series of games will likely need something more attuned to the LEGO games that they already own. In order for this to happen though, we would need LEGO to come on board. So this wouldn't so much be, I guess, a fan-made game as a sanctioned game working with the franchise, unless of course the people that were working on it were also fans, and then even though it would be more professionally made, it would still technically be made by fans as well. Technically, I guess any professional game, if you love it, you're a fan, so it's still a fan-made game? Whoa.
And at 10, Five Nights at the Car. This game makes me need to go to confession because the sheer amount of rage this game fills me with, the pure anger I feel thanks to this game, cannot go away. I can't even call this a game. It doesn't deserve to be on this list because, well, it isn't a game. This is a goddamn set of 3 pictures. Nothing more than that. Just 3 goddamn JPEG files, not even PNGs. How was this allowed to be on Game Jolt? Is there no rule that there has to be an exe file? Like, this makes me so angry. What the actual hell? The description of this game is even worse. It's, hey bro, thanks for doing this job. You are a 10-year-old kid who is in his car at the mall waiting for your mom, but weird things want to kill you, so your job is to protect yourself from them. If you're hearing this, you're crazy. End quote. What? This thing is so absurdly bad that it hurts me. This is literally just a JPEG file that looks absolutely atrocious. Like, I know it takes a lot to make a game, but these images were made in what looks like MS Paint, not even Paint 3D. I could make a better game than this. Like, this is just a cardinal sin of humanity that needs to just be taken out back right between the eyes. That's why I will send you to confession. This is why I need to go to confession. And at 9, Five Nights at F-Boys. Five Nights at F-Boys is a FNAF fan game created by Sable Lin and Joshua Shaw, an RPG maker version X-Ace featuring unfair difficulty, text-to-speech voice acting, and beautiful animatronic yiffing. You control Freddy, who decided that he wants to have a radical night of hardcore debauchery, and the surveillance cameras of the pizzeria are the only thing standing in his way. With the help of Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy, Freddy must destroy the cameras so that he can have the time of his life. The Game Jolt page lists the features as over 50 lines of voice-acted dialogue by text-to-speech programs, infuriatingly powerful and frustrating main bosses, even more infuriating infuriatingly powerful and frustrating bonus bosses. Seriously, even the regular encounters will fucking destroy you. Free money, Balloon Boy, Foxy pleasuring themselves, and Dragon adult recreational devices. Oh, homicidal party hats, and Tupac. And at 8, FNAF 3 PowerPoint Edition. I think this game makes some sense as to why it's on this list already. It's a game that from the description was made in PowerPoint. This FNAF game was made in PowerPoint. How the ever-loving hell did that work? How can you make a FNAF game in PowerPoint? Like, imagine if that's how Scott released the first game. That's just a freaking PowerPoint file. That would have been insane. Plus, this is just a very simple, like, click a couple times and get jump scared kind of thing. Don't even actually play. I mean, like, at least this jump scare is scarier than the original FNAF 3 jump scare, though. Zing! Like, this is just a sin because it feels bad and wrong to play it. Or to even have it downloaded, honestly. I thought that the whole it's a PowerPoint thing was a joke, but no. It's literally a PowerPoint that you just click through.
Number 7. LEGO Five Nights at Freddy's 2. I think this is one of my personal favorites when it comes to LEGO FNAF fan-made trailers we've gotten thus far. Something about how creepy it manages to be while still being LEGO versions of the animatronics, that combined with the silliness of what a LEGO phone guy would sound like, which I love by the way, it's just magical. Give me all the LEGO everything, and especially LEGO FNAF 2. Also, is it weird that I still find these LEGO models really scary in FNAF 2? Like, genuinely, these models creep me out. Maybe it has to do with how many LEGOs I have lurking around my home. Definitely keeping a closer eye on them moving forward. Number 6. Fredbear's Diner Family Vacation. We've seen quite a few games that are focused on Fredbear's Diner and use the location as a backdrop for a game similar to the general formula of FNAF. But what about a game that deviates from that formula? What I would love to see is a game where instead of playing as a security guard there, we maybe get to play in the role of someone who is staying nearby. I have this vision of a family on vacation, perhaps at a campsite near Fredbear's, who goes there every day for meals throughout the week. For some reason, I've always envisioned Fredbear's as being more remote in terms of its location. I don't know if that's just me. In this game, as the family continues to visit the diner, things get more and more strange until eventually their lives seem to be at peril. Will you escape or end up as the first victims of Fredbear's Diner? Sure, this might not fit within the main continuity, but hey, it's a fan game, so it doesn't have to. Number 5. Five Nights at Circus Baby's. Haven't you always wanted to go to Circus Baby's Pizza World? I know I have. This is what this game would be all about. Circus Baby is one of my favorite characters in the games, and once again, it would be so cool to travel back in time to see her origins and also perhaps see what happened to Elizabeth. I imagine the format for this could be similar to the others, with maybe the 5th night taking place during an actual shift where the place is open in the evening for a birthday party. As a security guard, you are tasked with making sure the animatronics don't step out of line, but obviously in the end you fail. Or maybe you don't. There's the possibility for an alternate ending here where, contrary to lore, you save Elizabeth and you end up a hero. That would also be super cool. Not all horror games need to have tragic endings after all. Or at least not all ending options need to be tragic.
Getting close to the end at number 3, Five Nights of Love. Oh yeah. The game that I didn't know existed, but had a feeling it would. This game actually inspired a whole series of lists that even though I didn't know that it was a thing until I looked it up. But I figured if KFC had a dating simulator, FNAF must have one too, right? And it absolutely does. You heard me right, ladies and gentlemen, a FNAF dating sim. You love shipping animatronics with everything, living or not, breathing or not, with a human trapped in a suit or even just a pile of trash, you'll still ship it, and it's disturbing. But this time, you get to decide who makes the cut in Five Nights of Love. Tracking via cameras the rooms of the public place, a player will periodically meet the live toy animatronics, Chica, Foxy, Freddy, and Balloon Boy. With every one of them, the player can have a heart-to-heart talk or hug these unfortunate freaks, as the game calls it, giving them all of their love and attention. Thanks to this treatment, the level of the toy's love towards you will only increase by 5% or 10%, but the energy level that you have consequentially will decrease by 10 or 25%. Once your energy is out, the player will have to return to their office and start the next day. However, you can also refill your energy at Balloon Boy by up to like 50% at once if you're lucky. But over a period of 5 days, you are trying to make these animatronics animatronics as happy as possible, earning bonus scores for how well you do. Penultimately, in at number 2, A Shadow Over Freddy's. A Shadow Over Freddy's is a short point-and-click exploration horror game created to showcase unique free-roam gameplay while keeping the spirit of Five Nights at Freddy's intact. This is actually a really good fan game, honestly. Playing as an individual trapped inside an abandoned Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, you must traverse the location while avoiding the creeping darkness that infests every corner of the building. Complete different objectives each night, uncover your lost memories, and find a way out of this accursed restaurant. Relive the horror of the first FNAF game as you explore every nook and cranny of this dilapidated remains of the original location, but with a new twist on the formula that will scare even veterans of the series. However, the sinfulness of this game doesn't come from trying to sleep with or woo animatronics. Instead, it's sinful for the same reason that Purple Guy Simulator is. Because at the end of the game, it is revealed that you are William Afton. So yeah, you play again as the psychotic killer of the series. And as we hear Henry say in FNAF 6, we're keeping the devil waiting. And finally, in at number 1, Five Nights in Anime. I mean, look, I know that people's love of animatronics can get a little weird, but even I, of all people, someone who constantly jokes about hitting on Toy Chica and then actually goes and does it, I was surprised to learn that this game existed when Amanda mentioned it in the weirdest FNAF fan game collab video. I honestly imagined that this is what Five Nights at Love was going to be, and I've seen a lot of fan art for this franchise. A lot. And I thought I had seen it all, but apparently I hadn't. Enter Five Nights in Anime. Oh boy, this is a game that was created to parody Five Nights at Freddy's, obviously, but instead of you being a security guard at Freddy's, you've been hired as a late night security guard at an anime convention. You know where this is going. And it's up to you to watch these anime-style female animatronic versions of the Freddy's cast. Hijinks ensue. We've still got the core cast of animatronics, but just as well-endowed anime women, because why not? I think the really weird thing about this game is that how many people want more of it, and it got a second game. And not only that, but these characters, they aren't actually women. They're still animatronics. They're full-on animatronics and they're not even possessed. So what's the point?